Going on? How y'all doing? How you doing? How you feeling? The video gonna be a rest in peace to J.R. Richards, the late great Houston Astros pitcher, and he was 71. He died of a stroke. If you were a baseball fan in the early '80s or what have you, you knew how dominant this cat was. The best way for me to describe him was the link between Bob Gibson and Dwight Gooden. That lethal, that intimidating. And he was funny when there was the TV show Dallas. He was the real life Dallas, a real life JR on the pitching mound. He brought the heat, but he never gets the love he got. There was definitely a good old boy network with the Houston Astros and their racist manager Bill Verdon back in the early '80s. They pushed Nolan Ryan. When they got Nolan Ryan, they pushed him on. I never thought Nolan Ryan had more wins and a long career, but I didn't never think he was the pitcher J.R. Richards. Well, J.R. Richards was one of those guys that should have been headed towards Ferguson, Jenkinson, should have been headed towards a long, healthy career. He had unfortunate health issues in '81, and when he got hurt and health started deteriorated, they froze on him, they bailed on him, and they left him laying. That guy, 6'8", was a dominant force on the mound. You had to have seen it to know how dominant he was. He commanded the respect. He had an incredible pitch. His pitches would drop on you, and I seen him. I still remember the All-Star game back in the day, and he had Reggie Jackson going striking out, had him looking lost. You did not want to have to deal with J.R. Richards in his peak and his prime. That man was a beast. 3-time strikeout king. As a matter of fact, he held the record for the most strikeouts for Astros pitcher in a season, 313, until Jared Cole broke it in 2019. So imagine that. And think about the names that came through the Astros that was pitching. That's how dominant James Rodney Richards was. He was a beast, but he never got complete. He never got his just due. Almost like if he had played for any other organization or had come along in a more respectful time where people could appreciate his dominance, he would have been hailed like Pedro Martinez. I'm telling you, sometimes you just don't get to understand how great somebody was because you don't get the full story. And I remember the unfortunate realities of what went through with him because I lived in Houston back in the day, and I remember how they downplayed him and his significance. But I'm telling you, he was to the Houston Astros pitching like Moses Malone was to the Houston Rockets in basketball and what Earl Campbell was to the Houston Oilers. Them kind of guys were some hard-hitting brothers who were great and strong, but they dealt in an oppressive, racist, good old boy network system that didn't let them properly get their full due. All three of them in Houston. And if you remember, they all left. And sadly, they didn't get but they all left a mark. Believe that. And James Rodney Richards, J.R. Richards, was a beast. Thoughts and prayers with his family. Rest in peace. And it's a very tough time to remember because I remember how great he was as a pitcher. And he was a cool cat on the real. I heard nobody say nothing about him. He was a cool soul brother. Thoughts and prayers. And if you remember him, please give me your thoughts and your takes. If you haven't, look him up on YouTube and videos. Check him out. This cat was the truth. And when I say the link between a Bob Gibson and a Dwight Gooden and a precursor to Pedro Martinez, I ain't hyperbole. I'm telling you, like, I'm giving it to you 100. Because if you know anything about black pitchers and dominance and greatness, J.R. Richards was one of those brothers who definitely belonged in there. Belonged in there with the Ferguson, Jenkins, and I can name others as well. But he was something else. All right, peace. I'm out.